Today, during Prime Minister's questions, the political spotlight shone on Sir Keir Starmer as he faced a barrage of questions on several pressing issues. Once again, his responses were criticized as either evasive or misleading. Starmer was grilled over the resignation of Tulip Siddiq amid a corruption probe, the controversial deal with Mauritius, and a budget that many believe is driving the country into deeper financial strife. In today's video, we'll dive into the highlights of this intense session, reacting to the key moments and discussing the broader implications for the nation. Before we proceed, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join our ever-growing community. Also, a quick reminder, we've got brand new O'Near t-shirts available on our website, so head over to British.com or click the link in the description to grab yours today. Now let's get into it. One of the most alarming revelations today came from the Retail Consortium, which reported that 2/3 of businesses plan to raise prices to cope with the government's tax hike. The Chancellor's recent policies, which critics argue ignore expert warnings, have led to unprecedented levels of borrowing. Businesses are now warning that they'll have no choice but to pass these costs on to consumers. Energy policies are under fire too, with projections showing that bills will climb even higher. Meanwhile, the country is spending more on debt interest than on schools and universities. This grim fiscal reality has prompted Starmer to question whether the Prime Minister will rule out any further tax increases this year. Predictably, the Prime Minister sidestepped the question, offering only a vague commitment to fiscal rules and insisting that his government is focused on growth. In his response, the Prime Minister shifted blame, claiming that the previous administration's lack of courage had left the economy in a mess. He argued that his government's tough spending decisions were necessary to stabilize the nation. However, Starmer countered by pointing out that these policies have flatlined the economy, exacerbated the cost of living crisis, and left the public to bear the brunt of what he described as a disastrous mini-budget. The Prime Minister's attempts to justify his actions were further undermined when he failed to address allegations that his government's energy policies and fiscal strategy have left the UK more vulnerable than ever. Another key issue raised during the session was the controversial deal involving British territory. Starmer accused the Prime Minister of rushing into an agreement that would burden taxpayers with a multi-billion-pound bill. Critics have described the deal as a surrender of something that rightfully belongs to Britain, but the Prime Minister defended it as a necessary step to ensure the long-term operation of a vital military base. This explanation did little to quell concerns, with Starmer emphasizing that the deal's terms appear to have been mishandled and questioning why taxpayers should foot the bill for what many perceive as a poorly negotiated agreement. The session also touched on the resignation of the former city minister, who had been under investigation for corruption. Starmer criticized the Prime Minister's judgment, noting that he expressed sadness over the resignation of someone whose conduct had raised serious ethical concerns. He further questioned why the government had not offered full support to Bangladesh's National Crime Agency in investigating properties allegedly bought with stolen funds. Once again, the Prime Minister's response fell short, as he avoided providing a direct answer and instead focused on deflecting attention toward alleged misconduct within the opposition. Meanwhile, the state of the UK's prison system has come under scrutiny. Mark Fairhurst, the national chairman of the Prison Officers Association, revealed shocking details about the recruitment and training of prison staff. He criticized the policy of hiring officers through Zoom interviews and providing them with only 6 weeks of training. This inadequate preparation has led to incidents such as hiring individuals who are physically incapable of fulfilling basic security tasks. Fairhurst warned that the system is not only failing its recruits, but also jeopardizing the safety of both staff and inmates. One particularly concerning revelation was the use of drones by organized criminals to smuggle contraband into prisons. Fairhurst stated that it's only a matter of time before drones are used to transport firearms or facilitate prisoner escapes. He urged the government to invest in technology to block drone signals, highlighting that some drones are capable of lifting loads as heavy as 75 kilograms. The gravity of this threat cannot be overstated, as it poses a direct risk to public safety. The recruitment crisis within the prison system has also led to troubling reports of foreign officers arriving at their posts without proper accommodation. Some have resorted to sleeping in their cars or setting up makeshift camps near the prisons where they work, Fairhurst criticized the government's reliance on overseas recruitment, arguing that it's setting people up to fail and further undermining the integrity of the system. Despite these issues, the prison service has defended its practices, claiming that its officers undergo robust assessments and continuous training. However, Fairhurst's testimony suggests that these measures are insufficient to address the systemic challenges facing the sector. Returning to the political arena, Starmer accused the Prime Minister of failing to provide adequate answers on multiple fronts. He highlighted the government's broken promises, from tax policies that disproportionately impact working families to energy strategies that have left households struggling with rising bills. Starmer's critique extended to the broader economic landscape, where confidence in the government's fiscal management has plummeted. The markets have responded with skepticism, and speculation about an emergency budget is growing. Yet the Prime Minister remains steadfast in his assertion that his government's approach is the right one, despite mounting evidence to the contrary. The Prime Minister's attempts to deflect criticism by attacking the opposition were met with mixed reactions. While he accused Starmer of having no ideas and being unfit to lead, these remarks did little to distract from the substantive issues at hand. Starmer's retorts were sharp, pointing out that under the current government's leadership, the UK has seen taxes rise, borrowing increase, and growth stagnate. He also criticized the government's handling of the Legacy Act, which has been deemed unfit by many stakeholders. The Prime Minister's promise to implement a better framework and prevent similar cases in the future was met with skepticism as critics questioned his ability to deliver meaningful reform. In other news, the ongoing challenges within the prison system underscore the broader issues facing public institutions across the UK. The revelations about inadequate training, poor recruitment practices, and the growing threat of drone smuggling highlight the urgent need for systemic reform. The government's response to these issues has been criticized as reactive rather than proactive, with many calling for a comprehensive review of the prison service to address these deep-rooted problems. As we reflect on today's developments, it's clear that the challenges facing the UK are multifaceted and complex. From economic instability to institutional failures, the government's ability to navigate these issues will undoubtedly shape the nation's future. However, the lack of transparency and accountability displayed during Prime Minister's questions raises concerns about whether the current leadership is up to the task. Starmer's criticisms, while pointed, also underscore the need for a more constructive approach to addressing these challenges. Ultimately, the public's trust in the government's ability to deliver meaningful change will be the true measure of its success. What are your thoughts on today's discussions? Do you agree with the criticisms raised, or do you believe the government's approach is justified? Let us know in the comment section below. And as always, if you haven't already, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth coverage of British politics and beyond. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care and goodbye.